Okay, thank you very much. Let's begin the third panel during the conference about the position of human rights in political systems. The role of human rights in national political systems, a cross-continental perspective. I would like to ask for chairing this session, Professor Alexander Xavier Pires from University Autónoma de Lisboa, chair-elect of RC26 of IPSA. Alex, so the floor is yours, and please chair this session, okay?
Okay, thank you, Professor Jedrzej. My dear JJ, greeting from Lisbon. Good afternoon, everyone. We are starting working on the panel entitled The Role of Human Rights in National Political Systems, a Cross-Continental Perspective, with 5 speakers, and our colleague Furkan Ahmed as a discussant. As we have 75 minutes, each speaker will have 10 minutes for their talk, followed at the end of talks by the highlights, remarks, and kind of considerations for 15 minutes by our discussant. So let's get started. I would like to invite Professor Iwona Wrońska from the Jan Kochanowski University in Kielce to the first lecture. Professor, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you very much, and thank you for having me here. And I would like to focus on Canadian immigration policy with the scope of human rights. And I've been doing this research for many years, and I would like to share with you my thoughts that I was working on, within last two years. So first of all, as everybody probably knows, Canada enjoys a global reputation as a strong defender of human rights and freedoms, supported by a sound record on core civil and political rights protection. And as to immigration, it has devised a framework that combines the proactive and controlled immigration policy with measures towards the inclusiveness of immigrants. And I work on a big project about it and about the accommodation. I call it accommodation of differences in Canada. What are the measures that are rooted in the human rights protection system? There are, for example, zero tolerance policy for discrimination, affirmative action, the promotion of cross-cultural understanding, or the naturalization procedure. And over the years that, I've been doing it for 20 years or more, Canadians have supported immigration, but recently this support has been significantly declining. So I would like to show why it has been happening and why current immigration policy has these flows. What are those flows? First of all, I divided this presentation, this paper, in 3 parts, but just to summarize the first part, it's that human rights protection in Canada originates from the British tradition. So I just would like to bring some small remarks about the human rights system, and it's based on the Constitution of Canada. Has similar principle to that of the United Kingdom. And what is important that Magna Carta, Petition of Rights, Habeas Corpus, Declaration of Rights, and the Act of Succession were incorporated into Canadian constitutional order. So, and it worked until the Second World War, and after the Second World War, Canada that participated in the process of recognizing universal principle covering all aspects of human rights, and Canadian played a key role in the work on the text of the Universal Declaration. So, And later on, Canada ratified the International Bill of Rights, which includes several conventions protecting rights to liberty. What is important that we have the Bill of Rights that was from 1960, which opened a new chapter in Canadian civil liberties. What is important in that this Bill of Rights was amended by the federal parliament. And it consists two main clauses to that fundamental rights and freedoms have been and will be protected without discrimination because of race, ethnic origin, religion, and sex. And then later on, this Bill of Rights was not enough because Canada is a federal country, so the Bill of Rights amended by the federal parliament, so the provinces did not follow the rules due to this federal jurisdiction division of powers, and that's why later on Pierre Trudeau, he was an architect of the Canadian Charter of Freedoms, and that's important because the provision are essential for the preservation and enhancement of human rights in Canada. And so this is basic the basis of the human right protection, just in really very short version. But what is important that through the federal, provincial, and territorial legislation, Canada incorporated international human rights into domestic law and added new provisions. So we have two levels of protection in Canada on the provincial and territorial level and on the federal level. And from the immigrant perspective, this system worked quite well. As I went through the cases of Canadian Tribunal of Human Rights, I didn't see many cases regarding rights of immigrants. So it means that the system worked quite well, and Canada adopted a framework that combines the proactive and control immigration policy with the policy that accommodates immigrants. And that's, I think that this is the most important part of what does Canada do in case of immigration and immigrant protection. Measures towards inclusiveness were further expanded through resettlement programs, especially through the unique private sponsorship program for refugees. This is a very unique feature that includes society in this immigration, not only immigration but especially the policy towards refugees. The current policy is based on the immigration policy based on the statement into the 21st century, a strategy for immigration and citizenship. And that's why this strategy is important, because it calls for immigration level to be mandated at 1% of the population. As well, it changed the basis for the point system and also provided the provinces with the opportunity to choose a number of independent immigrants to meet the economic objectives. So there are three categories of immigrants who can apply for permanent residency: economic immigration, family reunification, and refugees. As to economic immigration, we have about 60 to 70% of this level, this category. They are about 60 to 70%. Then there is the family, but the third class comprise convention refugees or displaced or persecuted person. and usually it accounts for around 10 to 20% of admission. Asia, with India as a leading country, remained the continent of birth for most recent immigrants, 62%. So European immigrants, 60% in 71, now around less than 10%. Especially, as I mentioned earlier, especially interesting is the unique system of private refugee sponsorship. It has been present since 1979. It allows organization groups of citizens or permanent residents to nominate refugees abroad and to pay some of the cost of their resettlement to Canada. This program is really unique. I participated with, and I worked with several groups that they were nominating, well, not nominating, but finding refugees from different places. But this program from 79 to 2023, there were about 420,000 refugees being resettled from this program through this private sponsorship. Of course, I forgot to mention that Canada, 1% of the population, so it means that today Canada is taking about 400,000, 500,000 immigrants per year. So this is quite a big number. The number has slowed down during COVID, but then it really went high. And there are economic and social consequences of immigration. And Canada tried to adapt multiculturalism as a one of this inclusiveness measure. What I mean by this policy, Canadian policy towards immigrants. So we have a response to ethnocultural diversity through official language school, ethnic weekend schools, school curricula, advocating cross-cultural understanding, mutual tolerance, and as well really other means like compensating ethnocultural groups for past exclusion through affirmative action, employment, or pay equity legislation. And the most important, I think, that it's a really inclusive education. So, and this was that until 22, because I finished one of the projects, and I had quite a good data about it. I went to Canada several times. I work with this several groups of people. They work with immigrants and this especially private sponsorship, and generally I had these feelings that Canadians value multiculturalism as defining characteristic of the country, and all the surveys until 22 indicated that majority of Canadians supported immigration policy. 80% agree that immigration are beneficial for the economy.
Sorry, your time is up. 1 minute.
Yeah, I know, but it's, everybody else had 25 minutes, so just I have to go to my point. But yeah, that's what I thought. So, but anyhow, just to shorten it up, everybody, 80% that immigration beneficial and Canadian supported. But when I was there, I saw the flow of this of this policy, and people started to claim that it's not so good. And in 2023, 500,000 permanent immigrants settled in Canada. Additionally, 800,000 non-permanent residents. So it's a huge amount of people that we have to accommodate. So the latest data show sharp loss of public support for immigration. Now, almost 60% think that it's really too high, and we cannot accommodate them. And public judgment about too much immigration continues to be driven by concern about housing, but also by the state of economy, about overpopulation, and how the immigration system is being managed. So far, I praise really Canada for how did they manage the system of immigration, how it was well organized. But I think that they went over the limit, that this 500,000 of immigrants per year, that the system, the political system was not ready for this number. And as well, public support blames today immigrants for everything what is wrong in the country. So that's this shift, you know, within last 2 years, it's a huge shift within the Canadian society. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Iwona, for your interesting lecture on the relationship between immigration policies from the human rights perspective and the Canadian case. Thank you so much. Let's continue. I invite Dorina and Tóth from the city István University in Kielce to the second lecture. The floor is yours.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, very well.
Yes, thank you.
But oh, sorry, we can hear but not see you. Yeah.
Okay, I hope
okay.
Everything is going okay with this technology system. I try my best. So I will talk about the regulation of prostitution in Hungary in the period of the bourgeois Hungary. It means 1867 to 1998. And in this period, prostitution was regulated in Hungary. And from this perspective, we can learn a lot about how we should regulate nowadays the position of the prostitutes and this whole situation. If we see the bourgeois Hungary, we can say that the Enlightenment time, it was the rise of the women's rights, and there was a ton of changes in the social and economic conditions. It means that the women had to step out from the four walls, so they have to be more active in the part of the labor and the workplaces. And of course, it means that there was a huge need for extend their rights and the women's rights itself. So there was different places when there was a huge need for that. For example, the social care, the education, or we can talk about the labor laws. And there was a ton of associations that emergence for this change. For example, the Hungarian Women's Educational Association, because the education was really important from that part that the women need to know their rights, and they know about the health care and different sexual infections that they can get if they go to the prostitutes part of the society. And it was really important to work on this education part. And this part was the biggest in this time, and not the regulation itself. Then this movement that we need the social care and we need to educate women. So if we talk about the situation of the prostitution in this period, it was unnecessary bad. So it was a view that men need this activity because it's important for healthcare in a way for them. And there was a lot of people, a lot of girls and women who hasn't got any other opportunity to work because there was not a social safety net provided by the government. So it means if they would like to survive, they need to work as a prostitute. And the other really big problem was the migration in the country, because the Budapest, the capital city in this time, it was really big changes and a ton of new opportunities, and a lot of people from the other sides of the country went for there, and they have to give up on their hopes and dreams when they enter to the city, and they need to find a work there, and a ton of people find the prostitution as a way of living. And there was a need for this situation to be solved with regulation, because, as I mentioned earlier, it was a necessary bad as they saw this whole phenomenon, and that became a dualist model to involve that the police and the health surveillance is also needed. So there was a regulation from the part of the police. It means that they have to, the prostitutes had to get a license to do their work, and the brothels have to have the license to work with prostitutes. And from the other side, it was the health surveillance part. That means the doctors have to do the medical examinations in several times a week to be sure that the prostitutes don't have any sexually transmitted diseases. And these two parts put together created the regulation of the prostitution in that time and in Hungary. It's really important that the prostitute was a woman, so men can't be prostitutes that time, and the criteria was to available for a purchase, and that's her only or main occupation or activity that she is doing. And if these criteria were right, she had to get a license to be a legal prostitute and not be an illegal one, because of course it was a criminal phrase to be to doing prostitution without any papers. The regulation was in a center part from the government, and there was a local part from the cities that they also can regulate prostitution in their local areas for the needs that they have. That, of course, it changed that how big is the city, how many prostitutes they have. But on the center part, there was no criminal phrases for prostitutes who had this license, so it was a legal activity to do. And the main focuses, as I mentioned, was the police regulation and the health care system. But these two combined caused the situation that the women who were prostitutes was segregated from this way, because they were in an immoral position for doing this job as their living, and it causes them that the society used them as a service, but not accept them as the part of the society. So it was not an integration in the regulation by any means, and it caused a really bad situation for the prostitutes, because if somebody became a prostitute after that, there was no hope to get another job, a moral job, because they have this position as they were prostitutes, and they lose their morality. And one of the biggest problem with the regulation was this part, and the other part was that it was not really good in implementation to the society. It means that there was not a huge difference in the case numbers of the patients who get sexually transmitted diseases, for example, syphilis, in this time. So the medical examination was also not in a good way, because most of the time the the doctors didn't do the job in a professional way, or there was another reason for that, but it's the corruption that they didn't do that because they get the money and they didn't really bother about that women with syphilis or other diseases do this part of activity. So this means that the regulation was really needed that time because of the numbers of prostitutes and because of their situation. And of course, the government had to solve this problem in some way. But how they solve it, it wasn't the biggest achievement because of this integration and implementation problems. And this really isolated women and not really helped to get the women's rights because, of course, the newspapers have to talk about the immorality of women and why we shouldn't get them, for example, the rights for vote. It's because there is in position that they are led by emotions and they can't be as good as the man can be. And of course, the other side, so prostitution is a service. So the man who get a service is never get punished or be in an immoral position, just the women itself. And the main question is what does the past tell us? So this regulation and the problems with this regulation, how can help us today to do something in a different way? And as I can see, the main thing we have to focus is that the regulation is really needed, but we have to do it with care. And we have to take care of that the legislation is not reversed at the end of the day and create a greater vulnerability and a bigger problem itself for exploiting women. And the regulation is not enough. We also need the educational part, and this was really good in that period of time, as I can see. So we really need the education to be good nowadays too, and we really need the social safety net too. So the government have to take part of it, other than the regulation that have this providing aim and help to women who are in need. And I think I can say that the people who are in need nowadays and get this net to prevent the women and people who to go to this activity. And we really need to change the mind of the society in that way, that there is the problem is already there if I am personally involved approach. That means that the problem is there if I am involved in the problem. So we have to be educated the people about it, that the problem is always there. So it's not really on the personal side, and we have to solve the problem itself without any personal involvement too. So if I have to highlight one thing is that the regulation is really important, but it have to be with care and with a slow progress to implement every step in the great way. And the education and the safety net is also really important to be held this whole regulation up to the top. So thank you so much. I would like to talk about this in this time. And I'm glad that the microphone worked well at the end of the day. So thank you.
Thank you, Dorina. It was good to know about as such an important topic for the protection of the individuals from the human rights perspective, especially women in vulnerable conditions. And so that's it. Now I would like to invite Dr. Thomas Litvin from Ignatian University in Krakow. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much. I would like to share with you my presentation. Okay, I see it here on the panel. No. Do you see my presentation? Because
Not yet.
We don't.
Okay. Okay. Right, maybe now.
No. Okay.
Oh, okay. So, thank you, Professor, for introducing me. The subject of my presentation is the Polish dispute over abortion from the human rights perspective. So the dispute over abortion in Poland has been going on since 1993, when the law concerning the admissibility of abortion was adopted, and this law is binding up until now. According to that law, the abortion is only allowed when the pregnancy is the result of a crime, pregnant women's health or life is at risk, or when there are serious fetal defects. This last, the legality, the binding force of this last premise of the abortion is in doubt, as I will talk later about the judgment of Constitutional Tribunal from 2020. This law from 1993 is more strict than the previous law on abortion adopted during the communist period, as the previous law allowed the abortion because of the medical indications or because of the difficult living conditions of the pregnant woman. Nowadays, the radical conservative circles want to seek to limit the legality of the abortion or even prohibit it, and the left-wing politicians want to seek to adopt the law that will allow women to have an abortion on her request up to 12 weeks of pregnancy. During the last 3 term of parliamentary office, there have been submitted the draft of the bills that were limiting the abortion or even prohibiting it, or there were the drafts that were liberalizing it, as I mentioned, the right of the woman to have an abortion on her request up to 12 weeks of pregnancy. There were also 2 constitutional tribunal judgments on that matter. The first judgment from 1997 concerned the law amending the law on abortion from 1993, and according to that law, the abortion was allowed because of the difficult social reasons of pregnant woman, and according to the tribunal evaluated this law as unconstitutional. According to the tribunal, the constitutional protection concerns fetus life, although it doesn't mean that the intensity of this protection in every phase of fetal life in all circumstances has to be on the same level. In the next judgment concerning the abortion of 2020, the Constitutional Tribunal considered the possibility of terminating pregnancy due to severe fetal defects as unconstitutional. According to that judgment, it seems that the tribunal evaluated the legal status of fetus as equal to the status of born child. Both are entitled to the inherent and inalienable dignity of the person, and unborn child is recognized under law as a subject of rights and obligations and enjoys the right to life. When I was studying this judgment, for me it was, I think, obvious that the tribunal regarded the right to life of fetus as equal to the life of the born child. There are serious doubts on binding force of both of these judgments. The first judgment was passed before the Constitution of 1997 came into the force. Therefore, it seems that it has only historical meaning. And the second one, there is a general belief that this judgment of Constitutional Tribunal of 2020 was passed in the incorrect composition. So because of that, it shouldn't have binding force. If you are interested in this issue, please check two judgments of the European Court of Human Rights, ML versus Poland, and the case of Xeroflor. Similar dispute over the abortion takes place in other countries, like in South Korea and the United States. According to the judgment of the South Korea Constitutional Court of 2019, women should have the right to abortion up to 22nd week of pregnancy. It's the viability of the fetus on her request, as it is an element of the right to self-determination derived from the principle of human dignity. The Constitutional Court also noticed that the pregnancy, childbirth, and parenthood could potentially have many negative aspects concerning the situation of a woman, and the fetus have the right to life. However, it doesn't mean that there is the uniform level of the of the protection at every stage of its development. In 2022, US Supreme Court, in the judgment Dobbs versus Jackson, Women's Health Organization, overruled its previous judgments, Roe versus Wade and Planned Parenthood versus Casey. According to the Supreme Court, the potential right to abortion has no basis in the US Constitution text as well as in the history of the United States. And the Supreme Court recognized the regulation of the admissibility of abortion as a matter of individual state. It resulted in the state which were governed by the Republicans in limiting the access to abortion. But according to this verdict, the particular state can also adopt the law on abortion, which will provide the right to abortion for a woman on her request, and in this judgment, Dobbs versus Jackson, it also overruled the principle of viability of fetus. So the state legislature has no formal limits of establishing the time, the period of time to conduct the abortion, as it is other aspect of this judgment.
Sorry, doctor, your time is up. The conclusions, please.
The conclusion. So we have also the IPSA judgments, and I think they are coming in the similar direction to the Dobbs versus Jackson. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Thomas. Your reflection was so great. It's even hard to talk about abortion between policies and human rights. And your lecture is so interesting because you can show us the context and comparative system. Thank you. The fourth lecture will be given by Dr. Thomas Wische from the Department of Theory and Methodology of Political Science and Administration, the Institute of Political Science and Administration, Faculty of Political Science and Journalism, Maria Curie Skłodowska University in Lublin, Poland. The floor is yours.
Thank you, sir. Honorable Chair, honorable participants of this scientific conference, that's honor for me to share some opinions and to share some reflections on the issues about really extraordinary, not facts, but situations and extraordinary issues that possibly, and that's a pragmatic approach, may change the political reality, and actually that's the reflection concerning the political system of Poland on the basis of actually three issues, within which to reflect so strictly to human rights protection or non-protection, so to say. So let me share some kind of pragmatic observation of the issues which somehow displayed the human rights in the political agenda of human rights and the presence, and actually that's the first presence of human rights issues on the political agenda in the Republic of Poland, because before the pandemic times, before the migration crisis on the border of Belarusian Polish frontier, and before the launch of the full-scale war between Russia and Ukraine, actually, the issue of human rights protection and actually fact of the scale on the political agenda of touching the point of human rights actually might have had the information and the importance in the political programs, but rather not the reality. Two issues, both of them actually that I tackle somehow turned out to be interconnected, and two aspects of this interconnection was of utmost importance for the political reality in Poland in a way that actually proved in some cases inconsistency of the political system in case of emergency. Of course, when it comes to somehow internal issues concerning the problems that might occur throughout the period of governing, that's not the problem to that perspective, but it proved actually that both migration crisis and the crisis of the implication actually of the launch of the war between Russia and Ukraine actually had implications into both decision-making process in Poland and the impact on the internal political conflict as well. It proved right, actually the first instance of proving that right was in 2010 when there was a plane catastrophe which affected the political arena in Poland. It proved right that in times of serious problems that touch the issue of security dilemma, the majority of party reaction actually proved similar, but with some exceptions. The exception of that was the disparate reaction, at least disparate reaction for this exact aspects of human rights protection, especially in the context of a situation when a group of people somehow spent some time gathering in Usnarz Górne, which was a tricky issue of the territory, neither Polish nor Belarusian one. And actually many observators then claimed actually the role of the frontier between the states and the need or the necessity, in other words, that's the difference, to establish a bit of and then a part of, and now restructuring the issue of the artificial barrier as in the form of a fence on the border. The reaction of the political subjects was different, and actually the difference proved right that migration crisis proved right that the migration crisis somehow disparate and divided the political arena of those who in some cases did not support migrants but actually wished to help to solve the situation out. They actually very problematic issue, and in other words, the opposite side, the opposite, but actually that was the governing side, stressed the problem and stressed the context of the need to remain a sovereign state and need to protect borders, and then actually the problem of being for or against not the violence itself, but possibly the issue, and actually that was a real problem and actually remains a real problem in human rights protection currently as well, whether to make use, or if possible to name that way, pushbacks or not. Therefore, there were verbal introductory part which separated two political opinions concerning the perspective of Law and Justice Party governing at that time, and other parts, now the citizenship coalition, and they did not support migrants, but it was presented by the governing side as the fact that they supported migrants, and that was the way which actually proved right that anything that may distinguish issues on the political agenda of Poland may even strengthen the political conflict within the issue. Human rights perspective and the security issue, even the context of the hybrid war, actually displayed the problem, the constitutional problem of governing the state in extraordinary positions. Since the application and since the introduction of the Constitution of the Republic of Poland 1997, there has been a strong problem concerning the accountability concerning foreign policy and the security policy between actually two pieces of the executive, within which one is the President of the Republic of Poland. And that context actually, in the way of the analysis concerning the political system, proved as well that the issues that are publicly presented and the issues that are either secret or top secret actually were used to promote the opinion of the political parties, as one may state that in a democratic state, and actually that happens, that either there is a parliamentary election throughout the way, or the election to the European Parliament, or municipality election, or a presidential election in the next year as well. It's widely used, I mean, the issue has been widely used in a way even to have the referendum on the issue of the border protection. So it was used not only, and maybe even that was the minimum, that the core context was not referred to the human rights at all, but it was just the instance which helped the party to present the stance actually which differed them on the political agenda. It's of utmost importance to think just for a while about the political arena of Poland, because the context of human rights protection, both the migration crisis and the humanitarian aid to refugees from Ukraine, actually was a piece and was the impact, and it had the impact on the political conflict in Poland because of the right-wing party, actually a group of politicians, but let's claim that's a party, confederation, because of the issue that they claimed, and they say that out loud, that migrants or those who came from war refugees possibly have more preferences than the Poles themselves, and that actually helped, in inverted commas, to expand the political conflict. One of the issues that I wish to share with you is the external perspective concerning the context, and the fact that the problem, the migration crisis, proved the problem of maybe not mutual understanding, but the problem of close connection politically between the government and the representatives of the European Union, especially in the context of the long-term horizon concerning the solution of the problem and the obligations, of course, of the state. Within the internal issue about the perspective, which might be from a different angle tackled by the problem of human rights, was, for example, in the context of refugees from Ukraine, the issue of social benefits, school obligation, so some kind of monetary issues or budgetary possibly claims. Therefore, these things are yet to be defined. But first, time in the contemporary history, political history of Poland, there was a chance to see somehow from the perspective the crisis management and shared responsibility within and between the political subjects of Poland. The context which actually came to my mind while thinking about the speech on this interesting conference was the fact that actually it was rarely used. I mean, one of the issues was rarely used, which is the Council of the National Security by the President within the problematic days, in inverted commas. But of course, the political system, and that's explicitly stated in the Constitution, of course, that it's called by the President, and so the President invites those subjects for the Council of the National Security, possibly if the meetings of the National Security would be regular, the problems of lack of the national debate on the issues and with the reference to issue of the protection of human rights would be definitely of more importance, not just like the context of political campaigns or the political rivalry. Another issue that is of utmost importance concerning two problems.
Sorry, Doctor, the time is up. The conclusion.
Yeah, it's the context of the rule of law and, of course, the reference between the issue of declarations, I mean the political declarations, and the political practice in the strong necessity to think pragmatically. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Thomas. Thank you especially for sharing your research on the tense reality of migration. Thank you so much. The last speaker, I would like to invite Alexandra Otkovich from Jagiellonian University in Krakow. The floor is yours.
Czy pana słychać?
I'm sorry.
We hear you.
Can you hear us?
Yeah.
Yes.
Well.
Yes.
Tak.
Okay.
So they can hear us. Okay, so the thing is that unfortunately we cannot hear you, but so if you could just, show me whether when my time will be up or something, and I think we will go that way if that's okay with everybody. So I hope it's okay. Well, I do not have a presentation, so I will be just speaking. I will try to speak as coherently as possible, but if something, then I will try to explain it later. So my topic concerns the independent trade unions in Belarus as a movement and how basically they have evolved since the strikes, since the protest in 2020. So let us start with a couple of definitions. So first of all, the trade union, according to Belarusian labor code, is a voluntary public organization uniting citizens of Belarus for the protection of labor, socioeconomic rights and interests of the workers. This law comes from 1992. And in order not to speak too much about the history of trade unions, especially independent trade unions in Belarus, I can just say that since the moment of their creation in 1989, they have been persecuted by the government. In the beginning, it wasn't so difficult. It wasn't so hard. The repercussions weren't very, very hard on the people from independent trade unions. However, the situation was gradually worsening throughout the time. So in order to cooperate, the independent trade unions created their own, like an umbrella sort of organization, which is called BKDP. And this is basically the umbrella of all the independent trade unions, where they have united under the auspices of this. And of course, they were repressed for it. First of all, the repressions that were targeted at these independent trade unions, we can divide them into two. So first of all, repressions targeted at union members personally, and then repressions targeted at the organizations themselves. So it could be either refusing to give the address in order to register the organization. That was the repression targeted at the organization itself. Or when it comes to personal repressions, it could be laying off the people who are active in trade unions, or cutting the salary, not giving the bonuses for salaries, which was very important, still is, for Belarusian people. And basically, independent trade unions started technically as an organization which was concentrated on the workers. However, with time, they were evolving. And especially, I'm talking here about the strikes of 2020, because after the falsified elections, a lot of workers united and also started their own strikes, which were called zabastówki. And of course, it wasn't very easy for them, because there were plenty of legal obstacles, and of course, the political demands were strictly forbidden. However, the independent trade unions decided to issue such demands. So it was demands consisted of repeating the election, that Lukashenko must go, also stopping the violence against the peaceful protesters, and also letting go the unjustly arrested people. So here we can see that it's not only about the stuff connected with work, with worker rights. However, here we can see something bigger. So the independent trade unions, from the moment of 2020 of the strikes, started talking about the bigger picture, about the whole of the society. And here we can say, we can add basically the definition of a social movement. It's not very easy to define a social movement, but basically it's a bottom-up initiative, like a grassroots initiative. So basically there is no interference from the authorities. And independent trade unions, of course, they are such a thing, because the trade unions, the official trade unions of Belarus, are not independent, because obviously they have the interference of the government. That's why we cannot call them the social movement. So in order not to confuse a social movement with just a gathering of people who are acting together, Tadeusz Paleczny proposes certain characteristics of it. So first of all, it's the size and the character of the movement. Then there are interactions. Also, third, the reasoning and motives, and also the identification. And where we might say that the first, second, and the third, they can be similar to other mass social behaviors, but the fourth one is very distinctive, because it's all about such distinctiveness. So like the social awareness of being a part of such a movement, and it does not appear in other gathering of such a type. To supplement these points, Wojciech Modzelewski proposed some sort of other distinction that might be added. So the actions of social movements can be characterized when they intend to inflict change or to defend the thing which is important for a particular group of people. Here we can see that when it comes to independent trade unions, it has evolved, because before it was mainly salaries, it was mainly respecting the workers' rights. However, now everything has changed. Now it's shifted towards more like human rights perspective, which we can see from what I was saying, the demands that were issued in 2020 and are still currently being issued in order to release the unjustly imprisoned people in Belarus right now, not only the workers, not only the independent trade workers, but also other people. Other thing that Modzelewski proposes, the actions are taken by a social groups and not by the authorities. So he's repeating what Tadeusz Paleczny said. And then we have team activity with an ideological background that mobilizes people to take action. So here, when it comes to independent trade unions, we might see that after the first strikes in 2020, we have seen the rise in people who decided to join independent trade unions, as they were seeing this as a possibility to actually do something, to change something. So that was the motive behind it. Wasn't necessarily only just the working thing, not only job, of course it was there, but mainly they wanted to fight the regime. So as I was saying, the demand of repeating the elections and the fact that Lukashenko must go away, that's a demand, that's this motive, which is more like political. And then we have also the human rights aspect when they were acting against the violence during the protests, etc. So that was what happened basically during the strikes and after the strikes of 2020. And because of that, because of the actions undertaken by independent trade unions, in 2022, the Supreme Court of Belarus decided to absolutely delegalize the independent trade unions in Belarus, stating that they shouldn't exist. They shouldn't exist. They are terrorist organizations, and they cannot exist in Belarus. Of course, International Labour Organization did not agree with it and condemned this decision. However, it did not do much. And now we have seen in 2023 another wave of repressions targeted at independent trade workers. So majority of them had to flee the country. So either they had to flee the country or act underground when they decided to stay in Belarus. So now we have, right now in 2024, we have a completely different thing happening, because the independent trade unionists, so the people who used to belong to such organizations, right now they are acting outside of Belarus. So we can see that, for example, the association Solidarność, it was set up in Germany by the people who decided to flee Belarus, and currently is led by Maxim Pazniaku, and he's also the current president of BKPD, so the independent trade union, the main independent trade union. And they did it in order to still be relevant when it comes to the international trade union movement. But right now, what they are lobbying for, it's not just workers' rights. Right now, it's more about human rights, because they are acting with Viasna 96 association, so like the human rights defending organization from Belarus. So they are acting with them, and mostly right now their goal is to promote the case of Belarus, promote the case of bad things that happen in Belarus, in the world in general, in order to show themselves. So it's basically they have evolved from before the protests of 2020. Right now, they are not just trade unionists. Right now, they are more like social activists who are trying to help people in Belarus, trying to still talk about Belarusian case on international agenda. So my conclusion for this would be that, well, the independent trade unions of Belarus, even though they have been delegalized in Belarus, they have not yielded their case. They have just evolved, and they will continue to evolve with the help of internet. They have a good online presence, and they're trying to recruit still people online. So they evolved, and they are trying to cooperate with the council and everything. So they have evolved, and they are trying to still show their case. And with that, thank you very much.
Thank you, Alexandra. We don't have, unfortunately, more time, so I invite Dr. Furkan Hamed for the final remarks and highlights.
Thank you so much, Professor Alex, Professor JJ, Oscar, and my other colleagues for being with us for this entirety of this conference. So as Alexandra said, I would be starting from the bottom-up approach. So I will start where she left off. The involvement or the evolution of independent trade unions as a social activist, the journey speaks a lot. I mean, whatever the issues that they face, especially the human rights issues, which weren't, providing them to get themselves registered as a union members, as an organizations. So, and how they emerge as social activists was amazing. I would also would like to touch upon the issues that Thomas indicated regarding the abortion laws, which is, a very deep issue, as Alexander mentioned earlier. That, I mean, it's a humanist issue that involves women right to life and in fetuses right to life as well. And I mean, if you talk about the perspective or the perspective that we that I have been learning at this very age, is that women or either child should need to have their authority to the body. So he talked about the evolution and how such legal implications have been labeled upon their right to life, especially with abortion, because I mean, there are a lot of health-related issues that can cause multiple issues to women's life as well. So moving on to the topic that Professor Thomas Wisha indicated, that was related to the immigration issues and the political decision making that is hindering the migrants because of what is happening to its neighboring country, like Ukraine and other parts of the world, is really puts Poland in a situation that they need to possibly there has to be as JJ indicated human rights declaration or UDHR on the issues of immigration as well. Moving on again, Dorina also touched upon a very sensitive issues, that is the regulation for the prostitution in Hungary, and how they are lacking the social life as well as the social security issues that they are facing. It's really damaging to their life. I mean, again, as she described, that men who are involved in this business are treated not very harshly compared to the women who face, especially the health screening issue is again a massive discourse that need to be taken care of, or that need to be addressed. And lastly, Professor Iwona Wrońska's the numbers that she gave regarding the migrants that were accepted by Canada was amazing, was huge, and how it has now started minimizing or limiting the number of numbers of migrants that needs to be received as a result of overpopulation. Again, the economic burden also indicates or puts them in a lot of puts a lot of pressure on Canadian government as well. And again, I would like to touch upon the issue of transnational terrorism activities that recently took place in Canada. I mean, India is on the verge of being targeted or being blamed of involving itself into transnational terrorism. So I'll ask questions to each of the speakers. My question would be to Alexandria, if the time allows me to ask questions. Okay, so Alexandria, as you indicated that their evolution from independent trade union to now social activist is really encouraging. So are you also seeing that they're heading, or they're knocking the doors of policymakers as well, like judiciary and other, like parliament as well, to give themselves the legal status as well? And my question to Professor Thomas as well regarding the right to life. Do you see, or do you have any other numbers of people who, I mean, how many women basically get the abortion per annum, or the numbers would be great if you provide some of the numbers as well. And also my question to Professor Iwona as well, that was I right that the rise of the decline of accepting immigrants was mainly because of the transnational terrorism, or is it the case with administrative issues as well? And how long will it take Canadian government to resolve these matters as well? While in the case of migration issues or the immigration issues in Poland, do you see any, like, I'm asking Thomas Wicha, like, do you see any consensus or consortium building upon to address this issue? Because I mean, Poland has a historical background of having strict migration issue, which is putting itself into a lot of pressure as well. While my question to Dorina would be that you talked about the issues, health and social security issues to women who are involved in prostitution. Do you also see that are there building up any union or any membership that collectively advocate for their rights, specifically the implementation part that you mentioned, that implementation is the key? So I guess that's it from my end.
Sorry, Dr. Furkan, I'm afraid that we don't have time to the answers and the replies. Sorry about this, because we have another panel right now, and I don't want to delay the next activity. So I think our colleagues can answer in another opportunity, or by mail, or in another.
Alex, I'm sorry. Maybe very shortly way. Each speaker.
Yeah. Maybe 30 seconds. Yeah.
1 minute per person, okay? And we will start maybe 5 minutes later, okay?
Okay.
Okay. So go ahead.
So I can start. Yeah. Yes, so question for me was about whether trade unionists are asking to be included in the political agenda. Currently, no. The only thing they are doing, they are cooperating with the International Labour Organization. However, the body that they are also working with is the government of Belarus, with Svetlana Tikhanovskaya, who currently resides in Brussels. So that's what they are currently doing, and they are just organizing their own actions. Yes.
The migration policy of Poland is yet to be defined. One issue which brings parties together and political subjects is, they agree to protect the border, but actually they do not agree how to solve the problem in a long-term and even short-term horizon. Thank you.
Okay. The number, I read somewhere that the number of official legal abortion is something like 1,000. However, it's sure that it doesn't really respond to the real number of the abortion, as probably there are many abortions made illegally, or the Polish women also go to the other country like Netherlands, Czech, Slovakia, or Great Britain to have an legal abortion. Thanks.
So I will start. There is a rise in negative sentiments about immigrants in Canada. So of course the issue of terrorism, when you have the major group of immigrants that come into Canada is from India. So that's right. There is a lot of negative connotation, but it's I have to explain, this is a broad picture of relation between India and Canada. So I think that this will be for a next discussion. Thank you.
My question was about the implementation movements, and right now, from nowadays, I don't think so that there is any kind of it, or I don't know about it. And of course, in the law history part, I know some, but it's irrelevant from nowadays, that how they solved the problems 100 years ago. So unfortunately, right now, I don't know any of these movements.
Thank you so much, Dorina, Professor Thomas, Iwona, Wrońska, Alexandria, and Mr. Visha as well for their enlightening discourse. And these topics are really, close to everyone's heart. I mean, we, JJ and I used to always discuss about the immigration policies, because I recently suffered a blow, I would say, regarding the decline of my visas. So it's really, putting a lot of impact over the people who wanted to do something in the field of human rights, academia, and other, activism as well. So these are the issues that need to be taken care of. I mean, collectively as well. So, I mean, Alex, if you'd like to add on something on the legality part of it, because you know the legal aspects of what's happening in these countries, and especially I recently would like, if time allows, that the number of refusals in terms of immigration or the visit visas was Pakistan was the number one who was refused, or which candidature were refused from the Schengen countries, and Spain was the number one country which refused a lot of visas as well. So in terms of immigration, visit, or family reunion. So I mean, would you like to add something on that? JJ, were you able to listen what I said? I guess Alex, I'm not able to listen what is Alex trying to say, or anyone who can volunteer, who can say that I was audible during my last conversation.
Yes, Furkan, you are audible.
Okay, Cass, yes.
Yes, Furkan, I listen your speech.
Okay.
But Alex, can you speak, Alex? We don't hear you.
Oh.
Yeah.
And JJ?
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Now. Yes, I can hear you. I can hear you.
Okay. I don't know what's happening. So thank you for coming. Thank you, colleagues. That's all for this session. And then thank you again for the honorable invitation. It's an honor to be here with you. And thank you for the reflection. AJ, the floor is yours.
I think now you.
Oscar, there is a technical issue. Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry, I have a problem with my second computer. Can you hear me? Can you, no, can you, okay. Can you hear me? Can you see me?
Yes.
Now? Yes? Okay.
Yes.
So thank you very much for all persons, Chair, Alexander Pires, discussant Furkan Ahmed, and our excellent speakers. Thank you very much for joining this session. And I hope that we can now order a 5 minutes break, and we will start 5 minutes late, yeah? The last panel during this conference, okay? Is it not a problem? 5 minutes break, okay? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.